On the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Do you have a hot new business or an established business that offers great and unique services or products that you want to get the word out? Are you looking to grow your business and you want everyone to hear the buzz about it? Do you have an amazing project or an idea that impacts our community that you want to share and get others involved in? Then you've come to the right place. You're listening to Community Connections with Norma G. I'm your host, occupational therapist Norma Guerrero, and I want to share our passions while connecting with our community. So now let's get ready to hear about what's hot, what's new, and what's happening on Community Connections with Norma G. Give us a call at 888-565-1470 and join our conversation. Do this again.
On the fly production.
Welcome back to Community Connections with Norma G. Today is Monday, August 21st. Thank you so much for tuning back in. You are listening to us on 95.3 FM, 1470 AM, as well as on we're live streaming on Community Connections with Norma G on Facebook. And today we have three different guests that are going to be on the show, and we're going to be talking about a wide range of subjects, but I think they're all going to kind of come together, and so you'll see how that unfolds. And the first guest that we have on the show is a returning guest and one of the sponsors of our show. And so Mike Zanardelli is with us again here. Welcome back, Mike. How are you?
Glad to be back. I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
And so Mike Zanardelli and Freddie, I'm not sure why we've lost the screen here. Freddie? Are we good?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I don't get that crash at 2 in the afternoon, and which I normally would get mentally. And it's important to eat and have your nutrition. But what I want to talk a little bit first is 7.2 is the middle ground between acidity and alkalinity. That's correct, right?
It is, absolutely.
And so can you explain to me what that means? What does pH mean?
It's the power of hydrogen, but really what I think most people here, and certainly South Florida, would understand is they have a pool either in their backyard or they've had a fish tank. And if your pool or your fish tank get too acidic, you start to grow algae. Our bodies are very similar to that. We're supposed to be balanced if we can be. And that slightly alkaline level is a 7.2. However, because of the food choices that we have, the environmental toxification that we have, the stresses that most people have on a daily basis, we tend to pull acidic. And when our bodies are acidic, it's kind of when we break down. We're kind of rusting from the inside out, if you will. So that's when people are lethargic. They don't have the energy they used to have. Or they say, well, I'm just getting older. That's the way I'm supposed to feel. There's nothing out there that's written that says if you're a certain age, you should feel a certain way. That's something I think that was made up along the way.
Right.
But, people can feel fantastic if you're feeding the body the right nutrition. And the challenges are we're driven by our taste buds. Listen, I like a donut just like you probably like one, but let's just say it's not a health food. There's a lot of stuff out there that's going to pull our body more to an acid state than an alkaline state. But before our company, it was very difficult to do because it was tough, it was time consuming, it was expensive. And let's face it, a lot of the stuff out there just doesn't taste good. And again, most people are driven by their taste buds on what they're going to eat to feel good.
And that's kind of like the protein shake that we talked, the protein powder, the shake that tastes like cake.
That's right.
Because you guys, and I have to agree, it does taste good. And it's funny because I'll make it and then I'm running out the door, but I'll take that first sip almost to make it the cup not overflow.
Sure.
So I take that and I'm like, dang, that does taste good. And I legitimately enjoy it all day long. And I just find myself, because I kind of top it off halfway through the day, it kind of moves me from that 12 to 3 p.m. where I get that extra surge. And it's different. It's not the coffee kind of buzz, or it's not like a sugar high.
Right.
It's a sustaining, like where I have mental clarity. So what I want to talk about is about before we get into explaining what the greens is, and here's the greens product, as well as the green caps, and we're going to explain the difference between those two, is that the pH scale runs from 0 to 14.
15.
So
yep.
0 to 15. 0, 14, 15, which but basically, that's the range.
That's
it's not
correct.
0 to 100. So when you're closer to 0, you're more what?
You're very acidic.
Very acidic. So when more closer to 14, 15, we're more...
Well, incredibly alkaline.
Right. And we don't necessarily want to be there.
No,
Definitely not there.
not.
So the middle ground, pure water, has a pH of 7.
That's correct.
So that's about the middle ground. And so that kind of goes along with the name of your company is 7.2.
Correct.
And sulfuric acid is a pH of almost 0, which is extremely acidic and highly corrosive, where lye has a pH of nearly 14, again, which is very corrosive and extremely alkaline. And so that's just to understand alkaline and acidity. So the human body pH range between 7.35 and 7.45 is where the body functions properly.
Absolutely.
And this is what I've been kind of studying and trying to understand more about, taking the product. A lot of people just take things just because someone told me to take it. It's a good idea.
Sure.
But I've really wanted to delve more into really understanding how the body depends on this balance between acidity and alkalinity. And the stomach is acidic about 3.5 on the pH scale. And this is important, because it helps break down the acid in our body. We actually want some acidity in the body.
Sure.
It's when we have those foods that are constantly keeping us acidic.
Correct.
That the way that it says it here is that it will actually pull calcium out of the bones, which is more alkaline if there isn't enough alkalinity in the body. And so where are we getting this alkalinity? From green leafy vegetables and for foods that aren't as acidic. And
That's
so
correct.
the issue I have, which we've always talked about, is that what if you don't get those foods?
Right.
And so that's why we're talking about a supplement.
That's correct.
And so tell me about the greens. What can you tell me a little bit about your green supplement that makes you a little more unique than the next supplements?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I appreciate the fact that you do a little bit of research, because I think that you come from a health background. A lot of people out there are just kind of like, oh, whatever I see on TV is what's good for me. That's not necessarily true. You have to go out there and start to do a little research on how we can fortify our bodies to be healthier for the future. What's so valuable and so important about greens? It's a great way to get more oxygen into the body, more chlorophyll into the body. But the majority of the people out there, they say, well, I had greens today. It's like, well, how much? We'll say, well, I had 3 pieces of asparagus at lunch and I had a salad for dinner. That's nowhere near what we need to really actually hit the recommended daily allowance of vitamins and minerals that we get from plant food. In fact, if we actually had that and it was in the raw state, it would take up this entire table here in front of us. So what we wanted to do was come out with a product that was simple, it was convenient, and it tasted good. Because I don't know if you've ever done a wheatgrass shot at your local health food store, but wheatgrass does not taste good at all.
I've tasted
like you
it.
lick the bottom of your lawnmower kind of thing.
It's just,
People aren't going to do that. Kids aren't going to do that. So we needed to find something that was Going to be very, very rich in plant food. So we have 21 different alkalizing vegetables. Wheatgrass, barley grass, oatgrass, alfalfa are the top 4. Very beneficial to the human body. They are all organic, and it's created to raw standards, which means that when we actually create that product, it's never heated above 105 degrees. Why that's so important is it's still live with the enzymes that if you grab that plant out of the ground and ate it, you're getting the same type of enzymes. Very important for not only digesting the food you're taking in, but also contributing enzymes to the intestinal tract, which is healthier for your body. So your body recognizes it very quickly because of the enzymes, and the utilization of it, it's incredible. People notice within just a few minutes, the energy just spikes.
It's true.
And it doesn't go down like coffee because it's actual nutrition your body's probably more than likely starving from. I know that when we started the company years ago, that was the one product I could not seem to get enough of my first 30 days. And, I've always tried to eat pretty good. I try to stay healthy, but there was probably nowhere near the kind of plant food I should have been getting. But
Right.
again, tastes good.
When I think of the greens, when I was reading, it's organic, vegan, kosher, sugar-free, non-GMO, and no gluten or dairy.
That's correct.
And so, what is the difference between taking the product via powder form versus via capsule form?
Well, the powder form is great because a lot of folks are using our protein, our plant-based protein shake, and it's just really easy to mix it in there. You don't taste the greens really whatsoever.
Yeah, you don't.
You don't. Now, I've done the greens by themselves. They have a nice, kind of a sweet flavor to them. Again, not artificially sweetened whatsoever. But that was important because we want to have people to be able to drink something that's just green if that's all they wanted. But why we created the capsules was we could condense that product, put it into a capsule form. So for those individuals who absolutely cannot drink something green colored, because people are very, they're very visual, like, I'm not sure I can do that. Came out with the capsules for convenience for those folks who couldn't do it because it's a green drink, and for if you're traveling. I fly quite a bit. I drive along in my car a lot, and sometimes I just need that little extra boost, so I sort of reach for some green caps. It's easy on an airplane. You can take them anywhere. So it's more of a convenience product than
The caps.
For any of the caps are a convenience product really than the green shake, because with the green water, with the green shake, you need to have water with you.
And when I was doing the reading on the difference between the two, it seems in order for them to have it concentrated, that you're extracting the fiber out of it.
That's correct.
And so therefore, that is a difference. I don't know. I know that fiber is important.
Sure.
We all know that. But like you said, it's a convenience thing. You don't really want to necessarily. Well, like you said, some people might not want, like to drink it.
That's right.
Or they want to do something like that. You can get fiber other ways.
That's correct.
You can get fiber other ways. There's ways around. If you pull away something, you got to get it somewhere else. Right. But that is, it's an important difference to note between the two.
It is.
But we have 3 grams. If I'm not mistaken, there's 3 grams of fiber. So do you know how many grams of fiber we should roughly eat in a day?
It depends upon the individual, their body weight. Fiber is very, very important. If we're, getting it through there's a lot of sources of fiber, as you mentioned, but you can get a ton of it through vegetables. You can get it through oats. You can get it through yams and things that have a fibrous nature to them. But again, most people aren't doing it. And so we just wanted to make it convenient. Now, again, the green cap's a great solution, but heavily concentrated. I wouldn't recommend taking those at night.
Okay, understood.
If I do the green caps before I go to bed, I will stay away.
You will stay away. Okay, yeah. Mike, we have a caller on the phone, so we're going to take the caller. Can you hear us?
Hi, how are you?
Yes, hi. Who we got on the phone today?
Yeah, this is Kim.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
Good. How are you?
How are you feeling today? I know. I think it's nice to talk to you.
Yeah. I was just calling in. I'm getting ready to go in for surgery, and I was just wondering if I would benefit from this product when I go into the healing process after this major surgery I'm going through. If that, there would be any benefits from this product for me in helping me recover.
Well, I believe it would. A couple of things. You're going to get a lot of nutrients through the greens. It's not something very heavy, so it's easy to prepare. It's going to create the ability when you eat a lot of green plant food, it's also going to reduce inflammation. That's just something that's definitely recognizable out there. You can see that anywhere around green plant food. And it's going to bring more oxygen into your system because all the product is actually live. So from that standpoint, it would be a great product to have. We would also recommend a product we have called Recovery that's specifically for people that are having challenges, are going to deal with potentially a post-op situation where I had back surgery a number of years ago, and that was really my first time I had a chance to use that recovery product at that level, and it was remarkable how well it worked for me to recover from inflammation and to deal with any kind of body aches or things that I might experience from that particular challenge I was having.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Well, Kim, I wish you well on the future surgery that you have to endure, and I hope you get back on your feet real soon.
I will. I appreciate it. And then the contact information there, that's where I can get the product?
Yeah, Mike, what's your contact information?
Contact number, you can actually go to 1-800-995-5361. That's my personal line, so you can leave a message there for me, and I'll definitely call you back so that we can get the information to you and then figure out how you can actually get the product as quickly as possible to actually benefit yourself. And just so you know, Kim, we do have a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee, so we really stand behind our product 100%. So if you actually took the product and go, well, didn't really notice much, that's 100% okay with us. But most people notice something really in the first 24 to 48 hours.
And your website, Mike?
Plantbasedph.com. That's plantbasedph.com. That's my personal website. And they can go on there and look at videos on all of the products so they can have a better understanding on how the products work. We don't have many on there, but we have an array of about 6 or 7 different products that people can look at to see how they might benefit from those products.
Right, and as we mentioned before, this is a direct sales product. To purchase, not something you can purchase in the store.
No, it goes directly from our warehouse to someone's home.
Yes.
Just make it easy and convenient. People can also get set up on an auto ship program, where I believe that maybe you're set up on that, so that every month it shows up. You don't have to worry about going to the store because we're not in stores.
Right, and. What last thing I wanted to mention is, like, as he mentioned, the Recovery Hydro FX, I've actually taken these supplements without taking that and then with taking it. And I think that actually does kind of add that extra little boost. You notice a slight, some changes in your energy, really. It's the main thing, is, your joint pain and your energy and just for me, I call it mental clarity, because I do a lot of documentation and paperwork, and that's my big thing is
Sure.
that how do I not fade out at 3-4 when I got to go, till 6, 7, 8 p.m.
Absolutely.
And so just to remember one more thing, helps, 7.2 products help support proper fat metabolism, promotes normal blood sugar levels, helps maintain proper cholesterol levels, encourages normal energy levels, enhances normal electrolyte activity and supports heart function, helps support normal blood and oxygen flow and healthy circulatory system, helps maintain proper calcium utilization, and promotes bone health, digestive health, and healthy immunity. And that's what I learned, in my studies through what is a more alkaline state, either through food,
Sure.
so, as well as through supplements. And the bottom line is I do eat, and I eat frequently, but sometimes, again, it's not enough portions.
Right.
And so there's so many different ways to, your diet is also something that it changes every day depending on where you're at, you're on the road, where you're
Right.
going, or what your craving is for the day. And so, like you said, this is a deposit into our healthy lifestyle. And I have just been loving the deposits that I've been making, as well as the financial deposits with being able to sustain the workload that came my way. So, Mike, I want to thank you once again for coming in and sharing with us. We're going to do the Recovery Hydro FX and talk about that one next time.
Excellent.
And so thanks for coming in and sharing with us about the greens and for being a sponsor of the show.
Thanks so much for having me down again. I'll definitely be back. And Kim, hopefully we can help you.
Yes, awesome. And so we'll be right back with Dr. Norina Ocampo to be talking about some of the issues related to pediatrics. We'll be right back.
Do you suffer from back, joint, or muscle soreness? Recovery with Hydro FX is the doctor-recommended all-natural solution you've been looking for. Now, available in the U.S., Recovery with Hydro FX is a specialized product for headaches, back, joint, and muscle soreness. Get back to feeling great today and order your 30-day supply of Recovery with Hydro FX. Call 1-800-994-5361 and take advantage of this limited radio offer. That's 1-800-994-5361.
Are you looking for short-term inpatient rehabilitation or long-term care placement for yourself or a loved one after illness or injury? Whitehall Boca Raton Skilled Nursing and Rehab Facility has served South Florida for over 35 years. With care and oversight from our experienced physicians, Whitehall Boca Raton offers specialized comprehensive nursing and rehab programs in neurological, orthopedic, cardiac, pulmonary, and post-operative surgical care and outpatient therapy provided by our highly experienced nurses and therapists. While recovering, you will receive 24-hour licensed nursing care along with dietary and nutrition services. We accept Medicare and other major insurances. Come see the Whitehall Boca Raton difference. Call 561-392-3000 for more information or to schedule a tour with our admissions team, and we will answer any one of your questions. You can also visit our website at whitehallboca.com. For more information, call 561-392-3000. That's 561-392-3000. Whitehall Boca Raton is committed to provide you with the best medical care.
SkyMed Pharmacy is a full-service pharmacy. Our services include home infusion therapy, nursing services, and a mail-order pharmacy delivering specialty drugs directly to your home. Our team of clinical pharmacists, certified technicians, and nurses provide comprehensive patient care, generating treatment of chronic diseases both attainable and affordable. SkyMed has a foundation department and a copay assistant program. Our staff is available daily to answer any questions you may have. Contact SkyMed Pharmacy and Infusion Services at 866-778-8255, 866-778-8255, or visit us at skymed.com. That's SKYEMED.com.
Are you having trouble sleeping or staying asleep? Feel like you've tried everything and nothing works? Studies show if we are out of balance or too acidic, it can directly affect our sleep. Now, a new doctor-formulated solution is available directly to you. Alkaline Boosters is a fast and natural way to get a restful night's sleep. Take advantage of this promotional offer to buy your Alkaline Boosters today and start sleeping better tomorrow. Call 1-800-994-5361. That's 1-800-994-5361.
Thank you for listening to Community Connections with Norma G. We're the place where we talk about your business, a product, an idea, or a project to get the word out to our community. I'm your host, occupational therapist Norma Guerrero. Today we are sharing our passions while connecting with our community. Give us a call at 888-565-1470 and join our conversation. Don't forget to tune in every Monday night at 5 to 6 p.m. to join me, Norma G., and our guests to find out about what's hot, what's new, and what's happening in our community. Can't wait to see you there. Now let's rejoin the show. Yeah, don't worry.
Okay.
Welcome back to Community Connections. I'm your host, Norma Guerrero, and I am here today is August 21st, and I'm here with Dr. Norina Ocampo, and she is a pediatrician, a pediatric specialist through West Boca Medical Center and the Tenet Florida Physician Services. She's a caring and diligent pediatrician serving the community of Boca Raton. She graduated medical school at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. It must have been a fascinating experience. Welcome to the show, Dr. Ocampo.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And so she also is a multi-specialty. Tenet Healthcare Corporation is a multi-specialty physician group that's provided care to South Florida in the Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade County since 2007.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of who you're affiliated with here in South Florida.
Yes, I am.
As well. Wonderful. And so we want to thank our sponsors of the show, Whitehall Boca Raton, which is a skilled nursing and rehab facility. And they are have been wonderfully blessing myself as well as the community at large through being able to support and sponsor this show and bring on guests like Dr. Ocampo and the relationship we have with Kathy Swindle over at West Boca Medical Center through the relationship with Sergio Rodriguez over at Whitehall Boca Raton. And so that's how we came here today. And so it's really exciting that each week or every other week, Kathy's been kind of presenting to me all these different doctors. And we had on, like I mentioned to you on the phone, a pediatric neurologist. And so we breached the subject of epilepsy and autism a couple weeks ago. And what he interestingly said to me, which kind of relates back to you, is, how are these neurologists getting their referrals? And what he said was, according to the American Board of Pediatrics, something to that effect, that there's these standardized every 18 months or, within that first course of the years, you have to do like a screening of the patients. And if they're not meeting some developmental milestones, that may be an alert to refer towards a neurologist.
Correct.
And so they're dependent on you as the pediatrician.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So basically, after babies are born, pretty much starting at the 2-month well checkup, we do developmental screenings. And at every age, babies do more and more. And we look at social, gross motor, fine motor, emotional. And at 18 months, there's a specialized developmental screen that we use called the MCHAT, Modified Checklist for Autism. and it's a little more specific towards autism. And if they're answering a lot of no questions, and some of them are significant no's, and we get worried enough, we will refer them then to a pediatric neurologist and get them started with speech therapy, behavior therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy,
Right.
neurodevelopmental therapy. So, but sometimes you can pick up through the basic developmental screenings at younger ages, even at 9 and 12 months, if they're not smiling or clapping their hands or pointing at things, that we start getting concerned if they don't have that communication.
He mentioned something to me, and I don't normally break out my little notebook, but it was Dr. Boquero, and
Yes.
it was related to this ABA therapy.
Well, ABA therapy, that is what is recommended if a child is diagnosed with autism or developmental delay. It's applied behavioral therapy, and we get a whole team involved. We have a great autism center down in Weston, but we also have a lot of resources here in Boca alone. Parents can go individually to one therapist from another, but the goal is intensive behavioral therapy as soon as you even think there might be a diagnosis of autism or developmental delay, to try to rewire that child's brain and get them to be hopefully as normal as possible.
Of course. And so, as we were talking on the phone, you mentioned you're bilingual in English and Italian.
Yes.
I thought your last name was Spanish, and then you told me that your background specifically is Italian.
Correct.
So you speak a little bit?
Yes, I do.
So, I speak Spanish, and there's a little bit of similarity there.
Yes, so I can understand when parents are speaking in Spanish. There's an overlap.
There's an overlap, yes. I know buonasera, buonanotte.
Si.
Good morning and good night, pretty much. And so, the specialties that you kind of gear towards more are asthma, allergies, as well as vaccines. And so, I imagine any pediatrician would. And so we've never talked about on this show specifically the subject matter of asthma and allergies. And so I'm a little green behind the ears, and I never had children myself. And nonetheless, I also never experienced any, I don't have any allergies. So I don't have a lot of, tremendous exposure to it. And so what kind of fundamental, basis can you give me about allergies that parents should be asking about or looking out for? And then what type of treatment is there for it?
Well, basically, when babies are younger, you're not born with allergies, but as you are exposed to the environmental allergens, you can start developing allergy type symptoms: sneezing, runny nose, watery, itchy eyes. You may get a rash. You could break out with hives if it's really serious. So, we follow the child, and when it looks like they really do have significant allergy symptoms, we can treat them. There's medications over the counter. We have the antihistamines. There's also inhaled nasal steroids. And then there's also prescription medication, which would be last resort. And if you're trying to hone in on the type of allergy, there's actually a blood test that it's specialized for each region of the United States. So
Really?
in South Florida, we're region 4, because our trees and grasses and weeds are different from the trees and grasses and weeds of, say, Washington State in northwestern the United States. So, and that initial blood test is a good screening test, and we can see what they're allergic to and try to help them with that. If there's indoor allergens, we can tell them to do allergy covers for the dust mites. And if they have dogs or cats, then you have to have a conversation with that, because people love their pets. And then the outdoor allergens, it's seasonal. So if you know what pollen you're allergic to, palm trees pollinate in February and you're allergic to palm trees, then we can start treating you a couple of weeks beforehand to try to prevent the symptoms from getting worse. And then as a last resort, if you're doing all the medications and you're doing the environmental control as best as you can, and it's not working, then we go to the allergist for allergy shots.
Right. Now, I've encountered and have tons of friends and family members that do have allergies. And so, I'm aware of how they adapt and manage it and avoid things and stuff like that. But as far as in children, I guess, in the first 15 years of life, can they have allergies, young, and then kind of grow out of them? Does that happen? Or is it something more just...
It can.
Person who's allergic is allergic.
Well, usually the environmental allergies, you have to be alive for 2 to 3 years before you become sensitized to the pollens in the air. But if it's a dog or cat and that dog is constantly licking you, you can have hives as young as 6, 7 months old. I've seen it in my practice several times. And then some allergies can go quote unquote dormant. Maybe it doesn't bother you anymore. You can be fine here, move to another part of the United States, and immediately you can have bad allergies also. I've seen that happen many times where people move from an area, say New York, bad allergies there, they come here, and then they don't have any issues. So it just depends what they're sensitized to.
Tell me, is there certain allergies that the allergy? There's allergies as far as respiratory type allergies, and then there's
Right.
food allergies. Is that another? That's another whole subcategory of
That's
allergies.
a different category.
That's a
yes.
total
So
different thing.
You can have the worst food allergies are anaphylaxis, where you eat something and you have pretty much an immediate reaction where you may have lip swelling and your throat gets tight and your tongue swells and you could have wheezing and respiratory distress. And once we find those children, or once they have those symptoms, they need to carry an EpiPen. You can also have just hives, delayed hypersensitivity, and those children typically will not turn into anaphylaxis. But depending on the foods that they're allergic to, sometimes we get very scared. Or every time I eat shellfish, I break out with hives. Well, we'll still give those children an EpiPen because we get worried. What if it does become anaphylaxis?
What does that mean, that word?
Anaphylaxis.
Yes.
So basically, it's a life-threatening situation
Okay.
because your throat can tighten up on you and you can get constriction in your airways and you can't breathe.
That's in itself anaphylaxis.
Right.
Okay,
so
got
you
it.
have,
Yes.
as soon as you feel the symptoms coming on, children 10 and older are taught to inject the EpiPen, and somebody should be calling 911 under 10 when they're in school or with a parent. They should always have the EpiPen available in case something happens because somebody has to administer it and call 911 right away.
Wow, that's interesting. And so,
Yes.
I know that they're manageable. People learn how to manage their asthma and their allergies. And there's a difference between asthma and allergies.
Well, we think allergies are a big component that may trigger asthma, and they're linked probably genetically on the same gene, but not everybody who has allergies will develop asthma, and a lot of kids who have asthma don't seem to have allergies, but we do see lots of times that they have both. If they have allergies, that they tend to have asthma.
Yeah, because the treatment of it is different.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's
Yes.
more of one's a respiratory condition, one's an allergy, if
Exactly.
you will.
Mhm.
Right.
But if you keep the allergies under control, if allergies are one of your asthma triggers,
You
then
won't
you
exacerbate.
won't have wheezing.
Yes,
Correct.
understood. Well, just moving subjects a little bit, we want to, talk a little bit about vaccines. It's the first day of school down here. Last
Right.
week, I believe, was the first day of school for Broward County.
Palm Beach.
Last
week was
Last
Palm
week,
Beach.
okay. And then this week is Broward.
Broward.
Okay. And across the United States, at large, kids are going back to school. And you said your office has been bombarded with everybody
Yes.
wanting you to sign off on everybody's permission
Forms.
slips and
Yes.
forms. And you're just like, why you wait for the last minute? So vaccines is not a subject you can really kind of talk about, and then say, oh, we covered that, in 3 or 4 minutes. But what is your baseline thoughts on vaccines and parents that have newborns and the first years of development, because it's a very controversial subject.
It's controversial because people have made it controversial, and we have social media, so that has promoted the controversy with vaccines. But vaccines, many people feel, was the best discovery of the 20th century. I mean, children were dying from polio. Polio vaccine came out, and all of a sudden we were saving all of these children. And we tend to see when we are not vaccinating. California's had several outbreaks. They don't give the pertussis vaccine, and I think 2010 or 2011 they had a big outbreak and babies died from pertussis. We had that big measles scare in Disneyland in California. I think it was October of 2015. And I don't think any child died from that, but there were a lot of measles cases. And then it was starting to spread to different states because not everybody was from California. They traveled in and then they brought the measles back. But then it was finally put under control. But I believe vaccines are very important, and I counsel parents, do not be afraid of the vaccines. You really need to be afraid of the real diseases. Those diseases are still out there. We still see them, and kids will die or can have detrimental, lifelong side effects from
And
the
people
real disease.
are not doing the vaccines because of fear of...
Because of the media. Unfortunately, we had a researcher back in 1998 from England who published a paper that said, oh, the MMR causes autism. And
And that's the mumps, measles, rubella.
measles, mumps, rubella vaccine.
I
And
know
then-
something.
Yes, there you go. And then all of a sudden, all of these major medical centers started to do research to say, oh my gosh, what did he find? And 5, 6, 7 years into it, they could not reproduce his results. And when they finally said, how did you get this? Because we can't reproduce these results. We're getting the exact opposite, that there is no connection with measles and autism. And where are you getting this? And then when he finally relinquished his lab notebook, he made it up. And he still goes around preaching, well, I still firmly believe MMR causes autism or measles causes autism, but you can believe the sky is purple and you can believe whatever you
And that's
want.
gonna
But
change his mind.
the fact is that the research shows otherwise. But to this day, I mean, he was stripped of his license in the UK and the United States. They had to retract that published article because some of the editors at the
Yeah.
journal said this is not a good study and we shouldn't be publishing this, but other people were so hyped up. Wow, we found the link for autism. Well, we know that kids who receive the MMR and kids who don't, the rate of autism is exactly the same. And then the other fallacy that's out there, thimerosal, the inactive form of mercury, which was used as a preservative in vaccines. Kids who received thimerosal versus kids who didn't, there's no difference in the rate of autism. So, but we pulled thimerosal out of the vaccines, and if thimerosal was a cause, autism should have dropped, and instead it's still going up exponentially every year, and it is multifactorial, the causes of autism.
And people who aren't taking the vaccines, are there fatalities?
Children are dying from the real diseases, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm the
It's
smallest
an
practice.
interesting subject.
Yeah, I'm the smallest practice in town, and I have seen every vaccine preventable disease except for polio, just because parents
Yeah.
aren't vaccinating.
Dr. Ocampo, if someone wanted to reach you and contact you at your office, they wanted to make an appointment to see you, how can we find you?
Just call the office. It's 561-487-5437. It's kids. That's what it stands for.
Oh, is that
Yes.
right? Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us
Sure.
about, I almost, that's this particular show you could almost listen to on replay just to kind of grasp a lot of what she just talked about. And, because it is very complex. And so, but that's why you're a doctor and you've studied these things and you meet with a lot of colleagues. And so give her a call if you are in that stage in your life where you have children, and make an appointment. And I'm sure she's happy to help you and give you counsel regarding care for her children, regarding allergies, attention deficit disorder, adolescent health care. And, and I know there's a whole slew of other specialties that you have as well. And so thank you for shedding some light on vaccines and allergies today.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate you coming in today. We'll be right back with Paul Finkelstein. We'll be right back with Community Connections.
Are you having trouble sleeping or staying asleep? Feel like you've tried everything and nothing works? Studies show if we are out of balance or too acidic, it can directly affect our sleep. Now, a new doctor-formulated solution is available directly to you. Alkaline Boosters is a fast and natural way to get a restful night's sleep. Take advantage of this promotional offer to buy your Alkaline Boosters today and start sleeping better tomorrow. Call 1-800-994-5361. That's 1-800-994-5361.
SkyMed Pharmacy is a full-service pharmacy. Our services include home infusion therapy, nursing services, and a mail-order pharmacy delivering specialty drugs directly to your home. Our team of clinical pharmacists, certified technicians, and nurses provide comprehensive patient care, generating treatment of chronic diseases both attainable and affordable. SkyMed has a foundation department and a copay assistant program. Our staff is available daily to answer any questions you may have. Contact SkyMed Pharmacy and Infusion Services at 866-778-8255, 866-778-8255, or visit us at skymed.com. That's SKYEMED.com.
Are you looking for short-term inpatient rehabilitation or long-term care placement for yourself or a loved one after illness or injury? Whitehall Boca Raton Skilled Nursing and Rehab Facility has served South Florida for over 35 years. With care and oversight from our experienced physicians, Whitehall Boca Raton offers specialized comprehensive nursing and rehab programs in neurological, orthopedic, cardiac, pulmonary, and post-operative surgical care and outpatient therapy provided by our highly experienced nurses and therapists. While recovering, you will receive 24-hour licensed nursing care along with dietary and nutrition services. We accept Medicare and other major insurances. Come see the Whitehall Boca Raton difference. Call 561-392-3000 for more information or to schedule a tour with our admissions team, and we will answer any one of your questions. You can also visit our website at whitehallboca.com. For more information, call 561-392-3000. That's 561-392-3000. Whitehall Boca Raton is committed to provide you with the best medical care.
Do you suffer from back, joint, or muscle soreness? Recovery with HydroFX is the doctor-recommended all-natural solution you've been looking for. Now, available in the U.S., Recovery with HydroFX is a specialized product for headaches, back, joint, and muscle soreness. Get back to feeling great today and order your 30-day supply of Recovery with HydroFX. Call 1-800-994-5361 and take advantage of this limited radio offer. That's 1-800-994-5361.
Thank you for listening to Community Connections with Norma G. We're the place where we talk about your business, a product, an idea, or a project to get the word out to our community. I'm your host, occupational therapist Norma Guerrero. Today we are sharing our passions while connecting with our community. Give us a call at 888-565-1470 and join our conversation. Don't forget to tune in every Monday night at 5 to 6 p.m. to join me, Norma G, and our guests to find out about what's hot, what's new, and what's happening in our community. Can't wait to see you there. Now let's rejoin the show. Welcome back to Community Connections. I want to thank you all for tuning in again. You're listening to us at 95.3 FM, 1470 AM, as well as we're live streaming on Community Connections with Norma G on Facebook page. You can also find us on YouTube, as well as on Twitter and Periscope and Instagram as well. Our next guest is a very interesting guest. His name is Paul Finkelstein, and he's the president of Competitive Communicators. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Paul.
Norma, it's great to be here.
Great. And so I met you because I had your wife on the show a few months back regarding her company, which I don't recall the name of it right off. I should have written it down.
My Medicare supplements for you?
Yes, that's right. And we've talked about Medicare, her knowledge about Medicare A, B, C, and D, and breaking that down. And so that was very interesting. And so in the midst of meeting with her, she invited me to a class, a group, a club called Toastmasters International, a club. And it was a very interesting experience. And you know what? You ever have that thing, Paul, where you say to yourself, where have I been living under? What rock have I been living under? And I'm a pretty cultured, experienced person that I'd never heard of what Toastmasters is. And so there may be somebody out there that's saying the same thing right now, or they may be going, yeah, I think I know this. Can you give me an explanation of what that is? And that will lead us into competitive communicators?
Absolutely. And I had the same exact experience from you. The thin thread to finding Toastmasters, somebody ripped out a page of a magazine and wrote on the page, go here. And they didn't put their name in it. And they didn't put it on the envelope. And I didn't know where to go here, but I read the article. But it took me years later to actually find a Toastmaster meeting. And basically, they help people, they empower people to be better communicators and leaders. And it's a lot of the Toastmaster clubs meet once a week. And by meeting once a week, we get practice to be better speakers. I was one of those kids that I did not raise my hand in school. I was in the corner, I did my homework, I was a good student, but I didn't like to raise my hand and talk. I wish that I had been exposed to Toastmasters when I was, but unfortunately, Toastmasters, there's no TV ads, so you have to get it by word of mouth. And this is great to have this opportunity to be here on the radio and Facebook. Wow.
Well, you know, I sat in that room and I didn't really, I'm an inquisitive person by nature, but I didn't necessarily, say to Sarah, well, what's it about? And I thought it was just a networking meeting. I didn't know what it was, but she had asked me several times and I'd finally got it carved out in my schedule. And I sat in this room and I sat and observed for 15, 20 minutes. And I didn't understand it at first. But then I did. And then I said, what a really amazing club. Because, here I am with a show, if you will, where obviously I must have a small ounce of communication skills, right? And so even though I'm not a communications major or anything like that, I'm a therapist. I treat patients for a living. I help them get stronger. But, I can articulate my craft and I can help motivate people and inspire. And I can also, interview people. But I saw so many people in that room that you can see, maybe way back they weren't as good as communicators, but this particular club has allowed them to hone those skills. And then even for someone like myself, how can I improve at certain things? And that's where all of a sudden I'm like, what a cool club. And so how did you end up going into this competitive communicators, which is an online club? And I know you're trying to take advantage of all of the technology.
Being a little bit of a techno geekish, or a guy likes gadgets, I had to embrace the technology, and online clubs for Toastmasters is pretty new still. I wanted to take advantage of that cutting edge and be at the 13th club to start a full club, just like what you saw, only use your webcam or your iPhone or tablet, and you're in a Toastmaster meeting, just like what you saw in person.
What are 5 good speaking tips that you can suggest for somebody that they could improve on?
That is such a good question, because another seasoned Toastmaster and I were at the Forum Club in Palm Beach, and they have legislators and politicians come, and they speak for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, keynote speeches. And we would just joke around and see, let's how good they would be as a Toastmaster. And we would do those tick marks, 1, 2, 3, and then put a line through it for the 5th one, and 1, 2, 3, and a line through it for the 5th one. And what are those lines that we were doing? We were actually counting the number of times they say And you would not believe.
I think I do it.
All the celebrities. I might have caught maybe 1 or 2 on the Facebook, but you're doing very, very good on the radio here. And
thank you.
So many things that we can learn. But that one tip is that ah counter, that if you remember in our meeting, there's a whole position called ah counter. And their sole mission in that meeting is to count your ahs, your ums, your nos, sos. And over time, after a week, you can nip those ums in the butt.
And is that just because you're more consciously aware of it?
Well, actually, they ring a bell every time you say but after twice, it would start to interrupt the meeting, so then they would just keep track of it on a notepad. But one more tip that I will let you know is, instead of saying don't say anything and just pause.
It is a learned skill.
For like a second. And literally that one tip, that pause can be dramatic. And why pause instead of because people actually wonder what you're going to say next. You ever probably see people that talk very fast too. So just slowing down and pausing, those 2 tips alone.
What things improved in you when you started attending this? How long ago did you get involved in all this?
Well, 3 years ago, my wife and I started going every week. I think we might have missed 2 weeks, just 2 days from vacation or family or a holiday.
So you really got involved in it. And did you find that it not only did it improve your speaking skills, I'm assuming so, correct?
I would say one thing that you could tell the difference is 10 years ago, I just blindly went and got a interview on CBS on TV. And that interview on TV compared to now has to be a whole lot different. I literally was like standing like this, and she would ask me questions, and I think my head was shaking a lot like this.
Right. So you're very engaged, and you're very well spoken. I can tell that you learned that. But and you feel that Toastmasters helped you with this?
Definitely, absolutely.
Definitely. And I guess kind of it isn't so much where you just kind of take a class and you just listen. You actually get, if you will, like homework assignments where you're the next one to speak the following week, and you guys assess one another?
Every Toastmaster works out of manuals. And the first manual that you get is called the Competent Communicator Manual. And that manual has 10 speeches in it. And you work through that manual exactly what it says. It has objectives, it gives you little tips, and then you're assigned a mentor to help you go through those manuals. But the more practice you do, the better, just like anything.
Did you find that as your communication skills improved, that your business improved?
Definitely. My confidence to be able to call the next person on the phone, my confidence to be here. And it also is great for marriage too, right?
Absolutely.
That's true, right?
You should bring your spouse, bring your friends, make it an activity. Instead of going to the movies, cancel your cable and come to Toastmasters.
Interesting. And so, how long has Toastmasters been around?
It's actually been around for over 90 years. About 92, 93 years since 1924. A guy named Ralph Smedley founded Toastmasters. And you could actually find a black and white video on YouTube of Ralph Smedley talking about the early days and how he wanted to call it a club. It was an informal nature taught by other Toastmasters, other volunteers.
And the how do we attend either, you can attend locally, and it's anywhere, everywhere around the United States?
It's so easy to go to Toastmasters.org, click on Find a Club, and if you're on your phone, it will find one by your GPS like that.
And as far as your online club, which is, how do we find you on your online club?
Now with the online club too, you can click on Toastmasters.org, click on Find a Club, and there's now a link for online clubs, and there's 13 of them. Or you can go directly to competitivecommunicators.com, competitivecommunicators with an S.com, and there's a link right there to go right to the meeting. We use a web platform called Zoom. There's a couple of platforms to go online, like GoToMeeting. Zoom is another one. We use Zoom. And we record all our meetings, too, so people can learn that way, too.
And competitivecommunicators.com, is that your specific club?
Our club,
That's
yes.
your specific club.
It was
but you're
a
saying
brand new club.
You're saying there's 13 of them.
13 online clubs.
Right, and that one's specific to yours. That's not just the website to other people's.
Right,
That's
there's
just,
other clubs.
Right, I just want to know how, be clear that that's the one directly to you.
Yes.
Okay, and so what's the format of that? Is that once a week, once a
Our
month?
format is just like every Toastmaster club around the world, whether it's online or offline, where we literally meet for an hour, and the first part of the first half hour before that hour, 7:30 to 9. There's 3 parts to every Toastmaster meeting. A table topic session where we learn how to think off the cuff extemporaneously and do table topics, they call it. You learn foreign terms that they use in Toastmasters. One is called a table topic master. And then the second part of the meeting is prepared speeches, where members work from manuals and prepare a speech. And the average speech is about 5 minutes long. Then the last part, the third part is evaluations, where people learn how to evaluate, and also people learn how to improve. The speakers learn how to improve. But the evaluations aren't just for the speaker, because everybody in the room hears what you're talking about. And everybody can learn the tips from what somebody else
Now,
spoke
you
about.
interesting. You'd have to almost experience to really fully, grasp it. You had a leadership meeting, and you saying that you have some sort of event coming up. We have to wrap it up here in the next minute.
Yes, definitely. I want to make note of November 18 in Palm Beach. There's going to be up to 500 people. I think this year we're going to have close to 500 people, and it might seem optimistic.
Where is it at?
But
Is he said in Palm Beach?
In Palm Beach, but the website to get to it for all the information is toastmastersd47.org. Toastmasters D for district 47.org, and that it's not on the website yet, but it will be there soon.
Okay, good to know. Well, that's great. You're going to have an event that's going to have all types of variety of things. And so me experiencing this show, my listening skills, clearly, doing this type of thing, I found that have completely improved from when I started doing this show in September. And so just being involved in something that is related to communication is going to improve some aspect of your skill. And so if communication is something you want to improve, it's going to help you in sales, going to help you in business, going to help you in your relationships. So check out a Toastmaster Club and check out competitivecommunicators.com. And Paul, thank you so much for being here, and you're bringing your wife along as well. And I appreciate you taking the time and sharing about this fascinating club that I was just very, very just inspired by, as a communicator myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week. And have a great week. And check out that eclipse on the news later. Bye-bye. You've been listening to Community Connections with Norma G. We will be back next Monday from 5 to 6 p.m. with new guests to share about what's hot, what's new, and what's happening in our community. Did you hear something you liked today on our show? Please contact me, Norma G, at 954-802-2015 or email me at ccnormag@gmail.com. I look forward to helping you expand your business, project, or idea and connect with our community.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily